Hey everyone, how's it going? It is I, the real Randy Chavez, and I'm coming at you today with a VeVe OMI update video with my good friend Crypto Rain to talk about it all, talk about politics, talk about love, life, and the pursuit of Dashi. Once I love Dashi. Commenting, liking, and subscribing is a free way to help support the channel. We will get to comments as the stuff goes on, but if you don't want to wait 45 minutes for us to get to them, you just super chat. It could be even $2. We'll get to that as soon as we can. There's a lot going on today, and I think one of the bigger headlines. Well, there's a lot of headlines, but one of the bigger headlines is OMI is down again, and it doesn't seem to matter what they do as far as marketing on Instagram, making a TikTok, having Blackpink go in and advertise for them. Blasting it to their hundreds of millions of followers on Insta. If you break it down to first principles, the basic reason for the OMI going down is that there are just more sellers than buyers. And then, okay, well, now that we know the reason, then we can break into why. And let's get into that a little bit. And why. Why are some people selling down here?
Yeah, like CYE Knox says, everything is down is part of the reason, in that a lot of things are down. So we're in this little post-Bitcoin halving lull. And some people are selling their fundamentally strong projects to chase meme coin pumps. And, 9 out of 10 crypto YouTube channels are talking about the meme coins that they own. That should be an indicator that you should be worried to be rolling into meme coins. Right now is a great time, if you happen to have had any, to be taking your profits out, not the reverse. Remember, 90% of people don't do very well in crypto. And so if you're doing what 90% of people are doing, be worried.
Agreed. So there's a couple other things going on. Part of the reason why, or I won't say part of the reason, but I've obviously noticed this. I feel like there's some people that go in and say like, well, Randy Chavez, you're too invested to be objective. There's a lot of accusations saying like, I work for the company and I take OMI as payment and I sell the OMI. I wish that were true. I wish I had a NDA and I wish I had like a paycheck, W-2, whatever it is, to make sure that was true. But that is not. I do not work for the. I'll go deeper into that on my own channel, my own time. But I would like to think that I'm fairly objective and I know what's going on. And part of the reason how I proved that today, I didn't post it in every channel. I didn't post it on the main Twitter. I just did it in a certain different channels. But I'll read you the message. And I'm saying, all right, there's crypto. All right, so I said, I understand that people are frustrated and the downward spiral seems to go on forever. Now, also, you'll get the tone of why I'm saying this. So the feeling of helplessness, no matter what major thing is announced, the price goes down. I want to let you all know that I'm here for you. If you want to get out, I'll buy every single OMI you have. No need to sell it on the open market and pay all those fees and have the price go down while you sell. We can do it in one transaction. Allow me to be your exit liquidity. It could be 10, it could be 100 million, anywhere in between. If you have more, by all means, we'll get more. And I put that in a couple of different channels from a couple of different people that have been like, maybe not budding, but a couple of people that's like, guys, they're kind of on like their last hopes. And I was like, okay, you want out? I'll buy it from you. And I haven't gotten a single message of people telling me, hey, let's get this done. I'm done. There are some people that say they're done. There are some people that say that I have friends that are done. But for me, again, literally providing that exit liquidity so you don't have to do all these transactions, so you don't have to waste that much time. I have not gotten a single message from any of those. And I've posted this in several chats. So again, I haven't posted this exactly on Twitter yet. But even up to last year when I posted like, hey guys, if you're so done with having OMI on the app, let me buy it from you. And some did. I was able to buy it from, I think, Biscuits was one. I think the Gale was another. Jason D. Chan was another. So there was a couple people that did pick that up, but I haven't had a single person go in and attempt to sell me some of their OMI. So what do you make of that? Do you think people are just like kind of complaining to complain and they just need to get that out, or is it something else?
Yeah, there's some more capitulation with selling OMI, right? So it broke through some really solid support. And I don't know where the next support level is after this, because I don't really have a chart showing what OMI did way back when in 2020. So at least it doesn't come up on TradingView. So I wish I had a really good detailed chart to be able to get a better history on it and see where the next support may be. But what I generally categorize things is at this price based on the fundamentals. Is it a good deal? Is it a great deal? Is it a mediocre deal? Is it a bad deal? Is it a very bad deal? And it's an absolutely incredible deal. So what is it? 0.0004517. That's the kind of stuff. I mean, I like to buy low, and this is very, very low. And some people are freaking out at this point, and they're like, OMI is dead. We see that in the chat already. They're just wrong. There's nothing about OMI that is dead. The underlying business behind it is absolutely thriving. When the bull run happens, fundamentally strong projects are going to do exceptionally well. And there's a lot of people that don't understand that yet. If you go to a lot of YouTube channels, you'll hear very conflicting information from what I talk about. That's cool. A lot of YouTube channels, they're very good at saying the things that get them big audiences. That's cool. Their specialty is not on the investing side, which is the buying low to sell high. Very few YouTubers that I've ever found have made their fortune from investing. Even crypto YouTubers, they make their fortune from their channel revenues. Cool. Their sponsors and their ads. Cool. That's what they're good at. Investing is a skill of buying low and selling high. And if you're doing what 90% of the people on crypto YouTube are doing, you should really be worried. 90% do mediocre to very poorly. And that just comes from being in the space for 7 years. I didn't know that my first 4 years. I thought everyone would be rich. And I found that most people do exactly the wrong thing. Well, darn, I don't know why they do that. Make some very emotional, rash choices. But I learned a lot of people don't have the patience, the grit and resolve to stick through months like this or weeks like this and all this sideways trading. For them, waiting 2.5 years from the bottom of the market for it to finally do well, that's way too much time. They just can't do that.
Agreed. So now that we've kind of identified this problem of, okay, there's more sellers than buyers, and then we've identified why. Okay, it's because a lot of people are capitulating. They tend to get really, I don't want to say they're sheep, but a lot of people follow the crowd. Everyone's doing it. I will, like you talk about recency bias, and then they lock in those losses, and we kind of feel bad. So let's talk about some of the solutions that we might have. There's a lot of people that were expecting Blackpink to go in and not like save them, but just to bring in a bit more users. I think in total there might have been like 800 users since the Blackpink announcement, which is fine. But you only have one Blackpink announcement, and it's not like a repeatable, endlessly renewable source. Like it is when you have more collectibles come out, and you'll have more with other utility, and that's great. But I think a lot of this comes down to just lack of new users. And I think there's a couple of different ways to get those. Do you have any thoughts on how?
Some of it is just with the cycles. Like right now, not a lot of outside people are paying attention to crypto. So you can, like, landing something like Blackpink gets a little bit of people. They're like, oh, that's cool. And it was unclear how many people it would get. It got not a whole lot yet. But as focus shifts over to the crypto space, that's when these massive numbers of new users come in. And then they gravitate towards, at first, the meme coins, but then they gravitate towards substance. And so VeVe has an app that has very cool usage. And that's when something like VeVe can really take off. So right now, it's cool if they get some extra users. That's awesome. But I remember this time last early bull cycle, Axie Infinity was struggling to get anybody to actually play their game. And they were giving away, if you reached out to the team, they were going on Discord, on some of the YouTube channels that cover them, and hardly any were covering them at the time. and saying, hey, you know, come try to play it and we'll give you a free team of axes. Just play our game. And so, you know, people had written them off as dead. They became one of the biggest gainers later in the bull market. And at the time, everyone said they were dead. They weren't dead. It was just the crypto bull run hadn't happened yet, which upped some awareness as to blockchain gaming. And then as awareness happened to like first Bitcoin, but then the larger crypto space, blockchain gaming went absolutely viral.
I guess that I think that happened too with NBA Top Shots. They're trying to reach out to not even like major influencers, but smaller ones.
Yeah.
So
they
now,
could not get the major influencers to touch it with a 10-foot pole. Yeah. Oh, I've never heard of you. No, sorry. Oh, I don't care. NBA license. No, sorry. Yeah, I'll cover you $30,000. Oh, well, we don't want to pay $30,000. Can we give you 10 packs? No. That's what it was like for them.
So right now, I guess it's still relatively early especially for a lot of altcoins. But right now, you know, Bitcoin is kind of nearing an all-time highs. It's hit all-time high before, and it's gone down. It's been near that. And a lot of alts have been significantly underperforming so far. So I feel like understanding that data is going to be really key, because right now I think a lot of people have altcoins because a lot of people kind of recognize, okay, Bitcoin might do that 5, 6x, whatever, but altcoins can do that 10, 20. And if you get some really good ones like the stuff that we have, you might get some 100+ X gainers. In that aspect, do you think that some people are a little too early to certain things and they probably should have? I know at hindsight 2020, but you know, I want to hear
so it can be really frustrating being at this point in the market. Realize at this point in the market, there were a lot of people that sold their Axie Infinity this time last market to roll into meme coins. Why? Because meme coins were pumping and they just had to feel like they were where the action was. So they bought something high, hoping it went higher because, well, it looked like it would just keep going up for forever. And they sold what had been going down because what had been going down felt like it would just keep going down for forever. And they found out too late that it was a very bad deal and a very bad way to approach it. And most of them washed out of crypto. They didn't stick around. Why? Because they were massively unsuccessful. And when you're unsuccessful at things over time, you just quit at them. Instead of like learning to be successful, most people just quit. So there's that temptation. In fact, that's what's happening in the market right now. Why do you think fundamentally strong projects, all those altcoins are going down? But you know what has been going up? Bitcoin and meme coins. Now, Bitcoin, not only because some people are rolling into that, but major institutions and institutional money is going into Bitcoin. Anyone who's selling Bitcoin right now is absolutely crazy. It's bubbling up and it is going to break loose sometime in the coming months, and it's going to break massively to the upside, which is what I'm waiting for with my fundamentally strong altcoin projects, because they won't likely do well until that happens. And then massive public awareness then starts to cascade into other things within the crypto space. Now, some people may say, well, Rain, why don't you play the meme coin and Bitcoin game? And then, well, I tried that last cycle. And because some of the fundamentally strong altcoins I was in ran at the same time Bitcoin did, which wasn't expected, not only did I not get ahead, I actually got farther behind, because when Bitcoin goes up triple, if you have a fundamentally strong altcoin that runs at the same time, that might have went up 12x or 14x in that time. So I just decided this time I was going to buy fundamentally strong altcoins and just wait and just be okay with it if Bitcoin and meme coins and other things ran first. That's cool. That was just my methodology. I don't touch the meme coins because it's too hard to predict which ones will do well, other than if you went with a top 3, which is Shiba, Pepe, or Doge. And even then, it's hard to tell when their runs are going to end. So it's hard to figure out when you're going to pull out of it. So I just didn't play with those at all. There's no fundamentals behind it. I do get that there's a hype cycle and they do run fairly early on. But the kind of gains you can make in the altcoins that are fundamentally strong, that have been punished by the bear market, far exceed the gains that you could make in Pepe, Shiba, and Doge at the prices we've had the past couple months.
Call me Skywalker. Thanks for the super chat saying Randy secretly looks for VeVe. And he quotes it as a Biden voter. We'll get into that later.
That's funny.
But no, that's awesome. No, I do not work for them, unfortunately. Maybe one day I'll be a consultant or something, or I'll just be like Thanos and like, fine, I'll do it myself and do a bunch
Essentially,
of
you are a consultant, right? You're just not on the pay scale yet.
I have received zero compensation for any of it. So one of the things that I'm really excited for this bull cycle is, Bitcoin right now is at, in 2021, when Bitcoin was at this price, you had about 4 million views per day for any Bitcoin or crypto related stuff. Now you have like 800,000 views a day for any Bitcoin or crypto related stuff. So I feel like this shows that Bitcoin is just really not hitting. The crypto in general hasn't hit yet. And it's like this before anyone really gets that mass adoption. Now, when I say mass adoption, I mean people that are in crypto. I think there's only like 5 or 6% of people in crypto, but 50 million of those are in America. And altcoins, I think, are still like 70% away from their previous highs compared to where Bitcoin is, near that all-time high. You always have some really good people on, and you talk about altcoins, you talk about Bitcoin. What is that next leg up you guys have seen from here? Is it, hey, going up to 80K? Is it going up to 100? Like, what's that next level of resistance that you think we might hit?
Yeah, probably like stair step 80, and then it goes to 100K. At 100K, that's when public awareness comes back in. You saw some public awareness when it hit previous highs. And so we were breaking through those previous highs at all new all-time highs. And so you had all these news stories on it. Then a bunch of the public that had been sitting on the sidelines, and even some private entities and corporations were like, oh, crap, we really need to get some exposure to that. And it's funny how green candles create interest, and that's what people chase into. I mean, you're seeing that, like OMI's price fundamentally, like OMI is very fundamentally strong. Why did it break down past this support? Probably people chasing into like meme coins. And it doesn't make sense that they do it, but it happens every single time. It's an emotional decision. Oh my gosh, meme coins been going up and they're never going to stop going up. And this is a new paradigm shift, and it's meme coins for forever. And it's like, yeah, sure. I've heard that every bull run.
So there's a BJN 1962. So can you explain what are the fundamentals that you see that make OMI a good deal? The chart itself doesn't look good over a 3-year span. Why do you see that and I don't? Is it true Randy's down over 700,000 unrealized? As far as OMI goes, from the top, it's actually probably like 1.1 million unrealized just for OMI anyway, not including other stuff. But yeah, your thoughts on the first part of that.
Yeah, so I completely disagree. The chart looks fucking amazing over a 3-year span if you like to buy low. It's absolutely incredible. You're probably thinking like most new people at crypto think, and like, oh my gosh, it just keeps going down. And it does keep going down until it doesn't. And so it depends on what you're looking for. Like, a lot of people cannot buy low, and especially because they buy low and sometimes goes lower, and they just cannot handle that emotionally. They like to buy high hoping it goes higher, and that doesn't work very well. Now, there's some people like Paul, who joins me on Wednesday's episodes, that he can recognize breakouts, meaning it's gone a little bit higher than previously, and it's showing that it's reversing trends and going up, and he buys there, and he takes a ride higher. So technically he buys high, hoping it goes higher. Specifically, he's been doing this for 30 years, and he can recognize those breakout patterns. I like to buy low on fundamentally strong projects and just wait till it plays out. Like, let me ask you, how many projects in crypto have some kind of revenues coming in? Maybe 2% of them have some kind of revenues coming in.
That's generous.
Yeah. So like hardly any of them. So VeVe has an actual fan base. They have some of the top intellectual property in the world. their app brings them revenues. Now, I don't know presently, are the revenues exceeding their expenses? You don't realize how rare it is that a company in the crypto space has such revenues at all. And so that's a much better situation than most of the crypto projects out there. And so when you do get massive awareness, new loads of people coming in with fresh money, they're going to be looking for something relatable to them. You know what's relatable? Marvel Comics, Batman, oh, Jurassic Park. Oh, they got this cool Ghostbusters thing with a Ghostbuster trap that my little kid can like play around with and catch Slimer in the ghost trap. Like, that's relatable and easy for them to understand. And so at some point, as new people are coming in with new amounts of money, OMI goes absolutely crazy. Now, some people disagree with me on that. Fantastic. Cool. All my great calls, most people have disagreed with me on at the time. And that's kind of comforting to me, because the truth is so many people don't do well in crypto. If I'd be more concerned if there weren't so many people disagreeing with me on this.
Agreed. Shout out to all the peeps in the chat and the 341 here. So you talked a bit about projects with fundamentals, and you talked a bit about being able to go and detect which ones are better than others. Right now, dilution has been, I think, the highest it's ever been. There are, I think, 1 million new tokens created in the month of May. It's about 2 times the total ever created on ETH between 2015 and 2023. How do you go and determine which ones are worth taking a look at, and which ones are like, can't do it?
How do I determine which projects out there are worth looking deeper at and which ones just to stay away from?
Sure.
That's a hard choice. So I like to think that a savage crypto investor is one that realizes that they're really just early stage business investors in the blockchain space. So like setting meme coins aside, on meme coins, you're just playing the casino. And it's not that you can't do sentiment analysis to increase your odds. Absolutely, you can do sentiment analysis on those. I like to stay on the fundamental business side where there's actual business behind it. They're hopefully using blockchain to solve a very real problem out there, because I feel like that stacks the odds in my favor. So as I analyze like which projects are out there in the crypto space, I want to know like what problem does their project actually solve? Is there a need for that problem? Okay, cool. Do they have the team to accomplish that? So a lot of it goes into investing in what you would do in investing in real businesses, that you're really doing an investigation on them as a business and whether they're worth investing in. So there are lots of projects I'm in, but I'm really picky on those criteria. And so there's a ton of projects out there that I just say no to. So I'm looking for strong team, real business use case, or something that their actual project does. Like there's a fundamental reason for them. And they've got to have the leadership to do it. And then I'm looking for their token to be punished by the down market, because I like buying low. I don't need everyone else's confirmation. Like why people need everyone, they need the price to be going up, is what they're saying is, I don't believe in my own analysis. I need to be able to look at what everyone else is saying about it by them buying the token for me to then buy it. And it's kind of like, there's a reason why lemmings follow each other off a cliff, because they're just looking at the lemmings next to them and they're not analyzing at a deeper level as they're a cliff ahead. I don't care what everyone else is doing. I'm looking at the whole landscape and taking that in, and I feel uncomfortable if everybody's agreeing with me, because then I really start to question, am I right on this? Because what I know is 90% of people don't do very well in crypto, and if I'm doing what 90% of people are doing, it's getting risky.
I hope somebody clips that, where you said people are like lemmings following each other off a cliff. Someone clip that. That could make a great YouTube short.
Yeah, exactly, and then in like 12 months, we'll look back. Was I right that meme coins then took a dive? Now, it would seem like meme coins have a little bit run left, because we haven't seen new people. We've seen a little bit of wave of new people with new money. we'll see a bigger wave once Bitcoin hits 100,000, that we'll see another wave. And usually they go for meme coins first because they can't really wrap their mind around the crypto space. So maybe there's another leg up coming on meme coins, probably another leg up on AI, which is run pretty early. And then they roll into other things within the space. So that's probably how it'll play out.
There's a lot of projects that have a lot of token unlocks, and that's part of the reason why I don't invest in certain companies if they have a ton of those. Now, VeVe and OMI and Ecomi, they don't have any more of those. Those are done. But do you think that token unlocks from other projects, as people like, hey, I just got these last unlocks, I got an extra $10,000, $100,000. When you talk about not ease of access, but easy to understand, obviously meme coins are easy, and we're also for VeVe and OMI, it's very easy because Superman, Spider-Man, it just clicks. You understand that. Are there any other projects that are as easy to understand as VeVe and OMI, or easier? And are any of those competition?
So one of the other projects in the space I really, really like is NFL All Day, UFC Strike, and NBA Top Shots. And they have the flow token. So what you'll see is as those really take off, people will come in and buy the flow token too, because they'll just ask, what's the token associated with this? And you'll be surprised that, like, I don't know what the flow token's use case is. And surprisingly, it doesn't seem to matter. When those take off, flow takes off too. I used to think that the use case was everything until I watched October of 2021 happen, when all of a sudden metaverses became a big thing and people were buying the Sandbox and the Decentraland token like crazy. They went 200x. And I was like, yeah, but their use case on these tokens really suck. And it's like, yeah, but when the market is going crazy and they just want to buy the token, a lot of these people just want to throw money at the token associated with a project that is in the right narrative. And so, like, Flow, I don't even know if they really have a use case for the Flow token. OMI has a use case. I think they continued to improve the use case, but even if it didn't, when VeVe gets a lot of traction and people are talking about digital comics and digital collectibles, then the OMI token is going to go crazy too. And a strong use case will just enhance that.
Agreed. So to summarize, I guess this has been a fairly Bitcoin narrative-led run. There's only been a select few narratives that have performed so far. You had gaming a little bit at the end of last year, and I don't think that's the only time that'll run. So now I think that the question is, like, will things turn around, and when will they turn around? Is there any indicator, is there any metric to know when the meme coin cycle ends? Is it going to be DeFi? Is it going to be gaming, AI, digital collectibles? Do we know which one? And if we do, how?
No, I wish that was easier. I haven't figured out a way to predict it. Maybe there's a way and I just haven't figured it out. I mean, we had a blockchain gaming run in October of last year, and that was fueled by Alex Becker coming in and make some really strong videos on blockchain gaming and why it's going to be the biggest thing and making the case. And then they started to pump. And what does every regular YouTube channel out there, when they see something pumping, they then cover it, because it does help you get way more YouTube video growth for your channel and for your views. And so realize, like, that's what kicked off the whole blockchain gaming run. That was completely unpredictable unless Alex Becker had called you and said, oh, this was going to happen. We saw in October of 2021 the whole metaverse run. Well, that came with Facebook changing their name to Meta and making that announcement. So unless Mark Zuckerberg called you and you knew that was coming, how would you have known that that was going to happen? So it's really hard to tell what order things are going to run in. And what I realized is I haven't been able to figure that out. So I just buy fundamentally strong projects and I diversify across a number of them. And then I just wait to see how it plays out, because I can't plan the timing very well. I haven't been able to predict the actual timing of specific narratives at all. So I just buy strong projects in the different narratives and then I wait.
Shout out to Energy. 2 more weeks before he's level 97 on the VeVe app. Congrats.
That's
everyone.
Awesome.
Blaze it down below. There's 420 people watching. So you have right now, there's been some disagreement on where we sit from like an altcoin perspective, but it's largely due to the fact that returns have been so unevenly distributed so far. There was Chamath Palihapitiya put out a chart the other day about Bitcoin, where if you take the average of the last 2 cycles post halving, and if you average that out, Bitcoin by the end of next year will be close to $500,000, and that's if you just take the average. That's not necessarily including the external factors of ETFs, of countries having dual currencies with their own currency plus Bitcoin, plus people doing what Michael Saylor's doing right now, which I didn't expect, but they are, or at least they're starting to. If Bitcoin does just that and gets up to close to 500,000, we see like a $9 or $10 trillion market cap. What happens to ETH? What happens to alts? What happens to this inaccurate weighing machine that is crypto, that measures things either too undervalued or too overvalued? When that pendulum swings, goes too overvalued, how overblown does that get? What are some likely scenarios of the top 20? Do you think more get like $1 trillion companies? I'll let you go. I'll let you talk.
Yeah, you'll probably see ETH at over $1 trillion market cap and probably a few other projects. And people say, that's impossible. That's more than XYZ company. And it's like, what's interesting about market caps is they can hit quite unreasonable places, because it's not like you could sell all those tokens at that price, because that would absolutely dump the price down. But that's just where the trading is happening at. And then you extend it over all the tokens, and that's what creates a market cap. So what often happens is in a bull market is I saw this meme, and it was really, really fitting when Bitcoin went down to like 15,000, and it showed a line of people trying to buy Bitcoin at like 69,000, and the line was huge. And then at like 15,000, there was like nobody in line to buy Bitcoin. And it's funny how that happens, but when the market is going crazy, it's like all these people are FOMOing in and they're just throwing money at it. And market caps get absolutely out of whack. And that's what happens in the bull run. So I don't ask the question, should ETH hit a market cap that might go to $1 trillion or $2 trillion or $3 trillion? I ask the question, what is the likelihood that it will? And then I evaluate based on that. Now, I'm not actually buying ETH because the potential upside on is just less than some of the riskier projects I'm in. I want stuff that has a 40x or 100x or 200x potential, not something that might do between a 3 to a 20x from here.
So you have typically, I think alts, they tend to run like 4 or 5. They tend to run, or at least peak, like even like a year or a year and a half after the halving. And right now, there's so many new tokens, and you have meme coins have been running, and that's historically been late in the cycle. And if meme coins run early instead of late, this cycle might be out of whack a little bit. Last time you had digital collectibles that were the last thing to pump. Now I think you could have the opposite of that. So if you have something, I know you don't sell one thing at a loss for another thing, but how do you do rebalancing? If let's say you're in gaming and you're in digital collectibles and you're in AI, and let's say gaming runs first, how much of that do you take a percentage, not haircut on, but how much do you take off the table? If something does like a 10x, but you expect it to go like 50x, you start off by taking 10%, you take your initial investment out, and do you just put that in the bank, or do you recycle it into and reallocate that into other projects that haven't run yet?
Yeah, I do like to rebalance. For example, I sold half my EOS position. EOS is in the AI narrative, and they were actually in a totally different narrative. They shifted into the AI narrative. I don't even know how substantive their AI narrative play is, but a lot of major YouTube channels are talking about them a whole bunch, and so they've run up to a pretty decent market cap. And I look at it, and it's like, okay, they were at almost $1 billion market cap, or just over that. How much more potential upside do they have from here? Maybe 20x, maybe. If it goes that way, okay. OMI has potential upside of 40x to hundreds of x's from here. So it made sense for me to sell half of it. And I didn't sell all of it because it's in the AI narrative. Like AI narrative might still run before digital collectibles narrative does. And if it does, I might be able to get even more out of that and still be able to roll it into OMI for cheap. So I do like to rebalance, because if I say I expect something will do a 50x and it's already gone up 10x, that means it only has 5x left if my initial judgment on what the potential was is right. If I roll that into something that then does 30x, I'm in a really sweet spot. That means my overall return was 150x. So I'll often take those plays early on in the bull run as things are going up. Now later you get tempted to keep doing that and keep doing that, and you end up rolling some really, really big wins into some things that then crash and burn. So I'd be careful. You see a lot of people doing that with meme coins right now, and they have some big wins on some of the meme coins. They're throwing it in at whatever else, and it's like, you'll see how that goes. It'll work until suddenly it doesn't, and then all those things you rolled into will crash and burn, and you'll be like, crap, Rain told me this might happen.
So I feel like we're going fairly inward, and I feel like a lot of people have this, they're in like this fishbowl, and they surround themselves with people that are also, maybe not yes men, people that are also super interested in what they are. And you have people that can wrap ETH, and they have their MetaMask, they have multiple different exchanges, and they're fairly well versed in the cryptoverse. But when you have, as a lot of people are starting to get into crypto, whether it's through IRA accounts or they just hear it from their kids, nephews, coworkers, whatever, how does Joe Sixpack go and buy OMI? Like they know the fundamentals are strong. They know they have, VeVe has all these licenses. They know they're making millions per month. Maybe they're not profitable right now, but they can be at the turn of the switch. When sentiment turns around, they go to buy. How do they go and buy it if it's not directly on Coinbase or Binance? How does a normal do that?
Yeah, it's hard. They have to buy it on MetaMask, which takes some sophistication and skill. I think there'll be some inroads changing for that shortly, so hopefully it becomes easier in the coming month to 2 months. Especially, I hope the new Coinbase wallet really makes that easy with OMI being on Base, but we'll see how that plays out. And that is something that holds back OMI from running really easily, because it's fairly hard to get to, especially since a lot of the exchanges that OMI is on are gate locked against US investment. So really their only option is to buy it on Base or to buy it on Uniswap, and both those are fairly difficult. So that's part of the reason why the token's underperforming versus what it could. But things do poorly. Like, I just look at things differently than the premise that some people are coming from, where they're like, OMI has done terrible. And you look at it and you say, well, let me ask you. Okay, so are we in the full bull run yet? No. We've had a little bit of it. Cool. And you've seen Bitcoin kind of taking off, confirming that the bull run has started. But a lot of the altcoins haven't run, other than AI and blockchain gaming did ever so slightly and since pulling back. But AI and meme coins have basically been running, but nothing else, right? So wouldn't you want the price to dump? I mean, if you're trying to buy low, like what's the harm in it going down even more before it goes up? Now, some of it's depressing because you're like, crap, I could have bought so much more for cheaper. But it's kind of like you go to the store and it's on 50% off sale and you buy like a really nice jacket and are cool. And then you go back the next day and it's on 60% off. You're like, crap, I could have got it cheaper. But then you could say, well, shoot, I could buy another one at that price. That's like really cheap. And so I was trying to, last bear market, just load up everything I could. So part of me was disappointed because I would say, gosh, I could have bought so much more had I waited. But I didn't get as frustrated as I see some people getting with the price going down. And I think it's just because they're in despair mode because they don't understand market cycles. And prior to crypto, I did other investments for like 18 years. And so I was familiar with market cycles, and that timing the bottom is almost impossible. And sometimes when you're trying, it then goes lower, and that's okay. Just buy more at lower. If you're buying fundamentally strong projects, most of them will reverse when the market reverses, and then you'll do really well. So there's no need to get disappointed when it gets cheaper. Just take advantage of it getting cheaper.
Preach.
Give me just a sec.
Sure. Hey everyone, how's it going? So as Rain goes and does that, I'll answer the rest of these. Planet Vampire saying, I bought 7 more first appearance minis today for just 475 gems. People are crazy dumping these. Keep capitulating. 2 more, and I own 2% of the entire supply. What are those at? Now, I guess we don't need to even check. We could just go in and do some quick math here. Here it's about $67, $68. So close to 69 on average per mini that he's getting. And I like these at 130. I like these at 80. To get these at around $67, $68 per mini, I think is really cool. Shout out to Planet Vampire for that. I know a lot of the reasons why you choose to have gotten a couple of other things via NFTs as opposed to VeVe's, because most other NFT projects, a lot of their stuff dumped like 99%. And even though the VeVe prices on these NFTs have gone down, they haven't gone down to a price to where you really like them. Has that changed over the last couple of weeks? And how much further would they have to fall for you to swoop in and get a couple of these things?
For me on the minis?
Well, any of them, not just minis. I'll just use that as an example because that's what.
Yeah, I've been buying some collectibles. I was putting for a while a lot of the extra capital that I was harvesting from other areas into NFL All Day and UFC Strike. They've never seen a bull run yet, and I felt like their prices were just punished more severely than VeVe collectibles were because they had never been through a bull run. And so they never really created a fan base yet. So they were launched in the early bear market, and it's only been bear market since then. And even though the market's turned around, their prices haven't recovered at all. So their prices were just cheaper than they ever should have gotten to. And so I rolled probably 40K or so into those collectibles. And so now I'm focusing back on VeVe's with the despair and everything. Like, I like cheap prices. And for a while I was like, damn, the VeVe community is keeping these prices too high because they've been through a bull market and people can now realize where they can go. That has kept the actual collectible prices much higher than I'd like to see because I like to buy massively cheap. That's how you make money as an investor. Now, these things I'm talking about, they seem so like, yes, that's what you would want to do. This is not how most people approach crypto. They do not approach it this way. And it's frustrating to me. It's like, look, are you here to make money or are you here just to like lollygag? Because if you're here to make money, you have to be buying cheap. What don't you understand about waiting till everybody is running away, like the building is on fire, and dumping their stuff? That's usually when those prices hit those rock bottoms that you look way back on charts and you're like, wow, that price was so cheap way back then. I would have bought way back then. That's what this looks like. This is exactly what that looks like. There's no, like, you can't see the future. You can't see what the chart, how it totally turns around from here and goes absolutely crazy. You have to have some grit and resolve to be able to buy cheap. And one of the ways I cheat is I look, okay, is the company fundamentally strong? Is there any reason why the actual company might fail in the coming year? Well, I can't find one. Okay, cool. So like people are just panicking out. There's not a reason to believe the company's going to fail in the next year. They're just capitulating and panicking. So this is what cheap prices look like, not only on OMI, but some of the VeVe collectibles.
Agreed. Mark Quinn says crypto rain looks more and more gangster every time we inch closer to the bull run. I mean, I've seen some of your wallets. If anything you want, you could just buy. It doesn't really matter. But there's, I guess, like people say, there's life-changing money and there's life-changing money. There's different echelons of it. If you when you get close to that 9-figure mark, how will you change? Will you change the wardrobe? Will you go in and pull off like a Nicolas Cage and John Travolta and Face Off? Are you? How will there be subtle signs, or will there be not subtle signs that that things are going really well?
Well, I've been trying to work on this overall problem of like YouTube channel growth, because most people don't understand that there's this misaligned incentive. The way to really grow your YouTube channel isn't by helping people see undervalued projects when they're undervalued. your channel is doomed to low growth when you do that. And the reason is because the way the algorithm is set up is if you're talking about content that tons of people are searching for, they're going to reward that and they're going to push it out to more people. As much as people say they like to buy low and sell high, I realize only 5% of people do that. And so most YouTube channels are incentivized to cover whatever is hot and give optimistic reasons why it's going to continue being hot, because that's what grows their channel. And notice, if you follow a lot of crypto YouTubers closely, they don't really talk about their wealth that was created through crypto investing. And because there is no wealth created through their crypto investing, they make the money off of their YouTube channel and also the sponsors that they receive. And so all of their content is focused towards that. There's very few crypto YouTubers that make significant gains from their investments. And so the reason is because if you're trying to talk about undervalued projects to your audience when they're undervalued, you're not going to get a lot of hits on that. Now, I theorize that if I take some of my gains from this bull market and I roll them into like some supercars and other things, and you just show people what they need to see to realize where the money is. Like, some people need to see it. Like, what's funny is you could show them a wallet with $100 million in it, and that would make less impact to them than if you had a Ferrari, a Lamborghini, like 7 supercars parked right next to each other. That would actually get more attention, even though the combination of those would be far less than the $100 million. But what do people really want money for? Well, they want to improve their lifestyle, and sometimes you need to show that for them. So probably I'll be more showy in the future. I'm still living really modestly right now. Sure, I could live way better. I just fundamentally can't, because I know where this bull market is going to go. So spending $1,000 to me right now, I don't see it as spending $1,000. I see it as spending about $30,000 or $50,000, because I know what that $1,000 invested in some of these good projects could do over the next 12 months.
I feel you 100% on that. So now we have to shift a little bit the comment, and I mean, I'll say, I guess, who I support for X amount of reasons. You don't have to, but the reality is, Pink Panther posts that Trump said if he gets elected, all tips will be tax-free. It's a smart move. And you have one administration that vetoes a bill that would give regulatory clarity to crypto. And then you have another presidential candidate that's going to be very pro-crypto. And just the reality of what we have talked about is, you know how a lot of people say, like, oh, support the soldier, not the war. You can go in and also say, like, hey, this candidate, I'll just say Trump, supports crypto, supports having a strong border, supports military, supports all these things. And that just happens to align with, regardless of whether he's an a-hole on certain things and, you know, getting convicted in that kind of kangaroo court.
And he hurts some people's feelings sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, but he's aligning with a lot of the things that I really support. And I feel like a lot of Americans kind of feel that same way. It's like, okay, maybe said a lot of mean things. Maybe he's not the nicest person on certain issues and certain aspects to certain people. But that's the reality of what I think we're working with here, having a Trump presidency this next. How does that affect your investing strategy? Like, okay, well, now maybe if we're looking at a Trump presidency, I'll go and invest in more companies that are based on X instead of Y.
Yeah, it's hard to say we can trust another Biden administration to be pro-crypto, even if he comes out and totally changes his tune on it. I'd have a hard time trusting that, right? So, because we've had 3.5 years of it, and Gary Gensler isn't doing what Gary Gensler believes in. That's why, like, when he was appointed, I was really happy, because he knows crypto very well, and all the stuff that he'd said in 2017, 2018, well, he's acting extremely different from that now. Like, back then he was saying ETH's not a security, that maybe it was when it first launched, but it's not now. And then he goes in the SEC and he's trying to get ETH deemed a security. Well, why the flip? Well, because somebody else is giving him orders, and somebody else, like either it's Elizabeth Warren directly or the White House. And so I can't say we can trust this current White House to be crypto friendly. Now, we will see a lot of Democrats waking up, to their irrelevancy if they don't become crypto friendly. Because as crypto becomes so important to people's pocketbooks, Democrats will make themselves completely irrelevant if they don't wake up to become crypto friendly. And there's some that don't want to, because some are in the pockets of the big banks who don't want crypto to happen, or they don't want it to happen until they own the rails that it's on. And, you know, I suspect that's why Elizabeth Warren is so anti-crypto, and her anti-crypto army. But like, I had politicians that get it. Like, there's this great Democrat out of New York that's like, you know, my people need this. This is their chance to make good gains. They can't afford to buy a house at the current housing prices. This is their chance to buy Bitcoin and have it do well. And we need pro-crypto legislation. And he's absolutely right. Like, why so many Democrats are anti-crypto? The truth is, a lot of Democrats are in bed with the big businesses right now. And big businesses don't want the innovative startup to come in and displace them. And so I know, like, it used to be said forever ago, the Republicans were in bed with the big businesses. And maybe that was true 30 years ago. It's absolutely not true today. Democrats and, you know, whether it's the tech giants and other big businesses, they're deeply in bed with each other. And that's possibly why they're so anti-crypto. I've been trying to wrap my mind around it, right? Because if you really are for the people, you see, like, this is a good thing. And some of them like the power of the printer, right? Because they can just write checks. It would be amazing that if we could just keep writing checks, and then we could, like, increase the numbers in our account so that none of them bounce, which is essentially what they've been doing since, you know, Nixon took the U.S. off the gold standard. And they don't want to give up that power because that'd be an amazing power. So I guess some of them are anti-crypto with that, because they can continue doing that unless a better system comes along, and Bitcoin is a better system. And if they keep doing that, then people are not going to trust that system and go over to Bitcoin. So that might be the other reason that so many Democrats are anti-crypto. And it's probably the reason that some Republicans are anti-crypto.
What up, Bill Garner? Thank you so much for the super chat saying, what up, fam? We miss you. So somebody that's also had some issues with the current administration, you have Elon Musk that goes and says, if Apple integrates OpenAI at the OS level, then Apple devices will be banned at my companies. That is an unacceptable security violation, and visitors will have to check their Apple device at the door, or they will be stored in a Faraday cage. There's a lot of competition. There's a lot of dogfights kind of at the top. And a lot of, you know, sometimes that competition really helps rise the tides of all ships, and really helps the consumer. But then you have other times where there's going to be one massive winner and one massive loser, and then the winner sometimes eats those losers. Like you had Disney buy Fox recently over the last X amount of years. You had them buy Star Wars. You had them buy. So the question is that, do you see any of these companies outside of Elon Musk, who's pretty pro Doge? Well, I mean, he's pro crypto in general. What is the best and worst case scenarios of all the infighting between these large companies that are particular with AI? You see it being good for AI cryptos in general? You see that it could be bad because people get wrecked?
One of the interesting things about AI cryptos is people are looking for a way to invest in AI without having to just broadly invest in Google or Microsoft or Apple. So they're like, oh, this AI crypto project. And it's like, okay, one of the things I ask is, how does blockchain make XYZ idea better? And there's certain cases where that's answerable, like Bumper was mentioned here, right? So Bumper innovated on a new way to be able to provide liquidity in a way that, instead of just using options to protect downside risk, there's a whole new way of doing it that creates greater efficiency. So when people are trying to protect their downside, that actually costs them less to protect their downside. And so there's actual innovation there. What do AI cryptos do? Like, there's a few that's like Singularity, and you have one of the godfathers of AI involved in that. It's like, okay, so AI could help either, like, maybe trade better because it can take in so much more data than humans could process. So maybe with specific trading algorithms, and we see that Dfinity has something that has an indicator that suggests, that some volatility is about to happen. And so AI is relative in that narrative a little bit, or in using processing power, right? So because one of the problems with AI is you have to have massive processing power. And if you don't own a supercomputer, which almost nobody in the world does, you need that processing power to come from somewhere. And so it's a way that you can use things where you might go out and leverage the processing power of people's computers. And in return, you're, paying for that processing power. So those are the only two use cases I could think that AI really even makes sense with blockchain. And it kind of loosely makes sense with blockchain. Yet you've seen, I don't know how many AI projects come out, and that's because it's a narrative that people are excited about and they want to throw money at, but the actual substance there is really, really, really low, which is why I'm not in hardly any of the AI projects out there. Because sure, when the AI narrative goes crazy, everything with AI on the name, almost everything seems to do pretty well, but that's just like gambling machine speculation, in my opinion, and I try to look for more substance in that. So, like, what does AI and blockchain have to do with each other, right? So what Elon Musk is doing with AI, where he's building robots that will fold your clothes and everything, cool. Or maybe even like robots that will go up to the asteroids and mine, they don't need things like oxygen and they don't need certain temperature ranges. Well, that makes tons of sense. But like, what does AI and blockchain have to do with each other?
Preach. There is a shout out to Bill Garner, which has reached level 62, 2 levels higher than me. So shout out to him. I feel like I've been monopolizing this entire hour that we've been on. What stuff do you want to talk about? I feel like
it's good to go through these questions, and I like to just share, like, one of the things that's been interesting to me is I came in like bright-eyed and bushy-tailed in 2017. I was like, oh my gosh, this idea of cryptocurrency is so cool. And I could see the value in that, like the US and every other fiat currency was devaluing out there. So there was like Bitcoin and this new idea like ETH and smart contracts. Smart contracts had just started to become a thing in 2017. They didn't have MetaMask wallets or anything, but that really gave birth to like additional altcoin uses, because prior to that, every other altcoin was just a different copy of Bitcoin in some way with a bigger block size, other than a few substantive projects like XRP and Stellar Lumens. So like, yeah, I was like, everyone's going to make money in this. It's going to be great. And what I found is most people don't do well in this. They do the wrong things. And I really saw that over my first 4 years in crypto, and I was shocked by it. Wow, when I was buying Cardano, everyone was like panic selling out of it, and they were telling me how stupid I was and how I just didn't get it. And Cardano's high of 42 cents was as high as it was ever going to go, and that most things don't do well their second cycle versus their first cycle, and blah 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 blah. And they were all wrong. And cool, like, they missed out on some massive gains for being wrong. And we see that again. In fact, they make the same arguments as to why Ecomi will never go past a penny, as to the same arguments they made as why Cardano would never go to 30 cents or 42 cents again. And Cardano topped out at $3.40. So it went like 8x its previous highs.
There's a bunch of other stuff in the top 100 of Cardano. You have AVAX. Immutable X has, I don't know if they still have any token unlocks, but Immutable X has that, like, a bunch of gaming partnerships, and I really like them. But they, they're already, like a multi-billion-dollar market cap. They're like 3 billion. And what are the odds that how big can they go when that gaming narrative runs? What do you think is something like, 30 billion is possible?
Maybe it hits in that range, 30 or 40 billion. Maybe if blockchain gaming goes absolutely insane, then they'll do more than that. But if that's the case, then probably some other things that didn't have such a high market cap will do even better. So when Immutable X hit like 40 cents, I was just like, oh my gosh, this deal is so good. It's like too hard to pass up. And I was like, holy cow, at this price, Immutable X is amazing. And people told me, oh, it's just going to keep going down from there. And, you know, now it's at $2. People are like, yes, let's buy Immutable X. And I'm like, yeah, too expensive now. Like, you missed it. I mean, at 42 cents and like anything under 50 cents was freaking amazing. Like, scoop it up under 50 cents, you're freaking golden. But at $2, it's like, I don't know, you know, and recently it was at 350 and it's like, yeah, Immutable X, 350, let's go. It's going to the moon. It's like, maybe, but it's no longer the amazing deal that it was.
There's some fairly newer ones that are in the top 100 and outside of meme coins. You know, there's something called Starknet or STRK. They launched earlier this year. I think at like $1 something, went up to over 250, now a little bit lower. What can you tell us about that?
I haven't followed its price, right? So let me check it out. I was just seeing that on Token Trove, you can trade on Immutable X directly, or I think Starknet as well. So I like that chart. Like, the chart's been absolutely punished, but it might get punished more. Might get punished a whole lot more. So I'm looking on CoinMarketCap, and it's showing it started trading in January. And it's now June. So they're getting punished probably by their vesting schedule. So I can't buy it right now because I don't know how much more their vesting has going on. And it's still at a $1.4 billion market cap. Yeah. So I'd like to see it a lot cheaper. They only got 13% of their tokens in circulation. Yeah, there's too many deals out there that are just so apparent to me that they're massively undervalued. Those are the ones I'm going for. These ones that's like, yeah, it might turn around here, but it could get punished a whole lot more first. Yeah. I'm not going to FOMO into them.
Yeah, so in the top 100, you kind of don't really take too close of a look at because they're already pretty high.
Yeah, I like the market caps between 200,000 up to like 100 mil market cap. Even at 100 mil market cap, there's very few that I like that are above 100 mil market cap. Like Ecomi has higher than 100 mil market cap. And I would love it if it didn't. If it keeps going down, it won't. That would be incredible, because then that has better upside gains when it turns around. So, you know, come on, keep dumping your OMI, whoever is out there dumping. I promise I won't mind.
Or if you want to DM me and sell it to me directly, that's fine. But again, I've been trying, and I've no bites, no fish. No, there's not a nibble out there. I think people just like to complain, which is fine. You know, they do that.
Yeah, somebody's selling, but they're like, I think a lot of them want to keep it anonymous rather than like, oh no, I sold to Randy, and shoot, then the world's going to know I sold to him. And then when it goes to like 40 cents, you know, I'll be ridiculed for forever, like the guy who sold Bitcoin for pizza. So I guess you will be ridiculed for forever. But ask Randy for anonymity and he'll respect that.
Yeah, say if that's a worry, I won't tell. I'll keep y'all. I'll keep your name out of it. I'll be like Will Smith, keep my name out your mouth. You know.
Is that how it goes?
Yeah. Or as I said, keep my wife's name out your effing mouth. And then I feel like that wasn't even like a called G.I. Jane. G.I. Jane was an awesome movie. I don't know. I feel like
we all agree that Will Smith needs to be nowhere near Jada Pinkett Smith. He needs to leave that woman like quick, fast, and in a hurry.
Yeah, I would have left when there was a situationship and she was fucking her son's friend. That would have been like, it's over.
Some guys, and you see this in really high performing guys, that they get in a relationship with somebody they have to serve endlessly. And women can't truly love you unless they're like serving you and helping you towards your purpose. And so when you're serving them endlessly, they then treat you like the butler, and Jada Pinkett Smith treats him like the butler. Why he puts up with that has to do with his own deserving issues, right? We see Will Smith isn't perfect, even though he's an amazing actor. And he's just missing the bigger picture. So he's one of the most incredible actors out there. I've loved him since the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air days. All his movies, like his movies are freaking amazing. Such, not only is he a great actor, but his movies are almost always amazing. And he hasn't figured out relationship issues in his life at all. Unfortunately, at all. He could have amazing women in his life, yet he strapped himself to a woman who's disrespectful to him.
Maybe that's his kink. Don't kink shame, Rain. Maybe that's what he gets off on. Maybe he's just a cuck, and I want to say that about Will. I love him. I heard Bad Boys was amazing. Again, I love most of his movies as well. Although I did just see iRobot again recently, and that has not aged well. That is not that's not a good. I mean,
it was super cool at the time. It was super cool at the time.
The Converse, dude. I want the Converse that he like sports in there. It's like vintage 2004. Like
he's chasing down the bad guy. I forgot about that right at the beginning.
Dude, maybe that's what they need. They need like a movie set in the future, and then VeVe just needs to go and be like, okay, it's like, oh, VeVe app. This is an old school season 1 Ghost Trap, worth $80,000 now, and then that's what they need. That's
what's funny is a lot of people don't realize that, like, so we grew up during the toy revolution, right? So Mattel and like I forget Kenner and who are some of the other toy makers making G.I. Joes, Transformers, some of these other things that later turned into massive IP that they've made all these movies off of. I wouldn't be surprised if 20 years from now, like, there's all these movies based on brands that are being created in the crypto space, like, and probably even much sooner than that. I know Illuvium's talked about taking their IP and making a cartoon series or a movie out of it. I know Davio's talked about doing that with their Litcraft, and they already wrote a book like 6 years ago based on the whole Litcraft world and stuff. So they're just looking at the opportunity. So when their game is massively successful, they'll probably take some of those funds and they'll fund it, which kind of augments it, right? I didn't realize that sometimes, like the shows I used to watch, like G.I. Joe, I don't know that they made money on the G.I. Joe cartoon. Where they made money is people that watched the G.I. Joe cartoon then went out and bought the toys. And so it's kind of like the cartoon might have been their loss leader to subsidize people buying the toys, but then made the brand worth a ton. So I wouldn't be surprised if some of these blockchain games end up doing stuff like that too. And that 20 years from now, like, there's this massive IP that have come from the blockchain gaming world, and there's movies, and Dwayne Johnson is playing like the main hero in like what is Off the Grid or something by Gunzilla.
I mean, you have in 20 years, I don't know if he'll still be making movies. I mean, he'll still probably be a little jacked. He'll still probably be, a little whatever. But yeah,
he'll still be making movies. Yeah, no, he's too iconic too.
I think I asked him, it was at the Bat Pal event like 2 years ago when Black Adam came out. I was like, Rocky, everybody loves you. Will you ever run for president? And he's like, like he didn't say no. He didn't answer. Like he just didn't give a direct answer. Maybe not this time. I think Dems are waiting for Biden to get destroyed in that debate, and then they'll do a switcheroo. I think the front runners now are like Gavin Newsom or Michelle Obama, but maybe it's The Rock. Maybe I do think at some point he will run for president as a Democrat nominee.
Yeah, I would probably a future cycle, probably.
But yeah, that's
extremely likable guy, so likable.
I would think that there's a not that you should get in politics. I don't know. I'm just trying to think of other ways for VeVe to go in and advertise. A movie with The Rock would be great. I mean, they already have Joseph Parker. They have, I think. What other stuff can they do in like the Web 2 crowd and like the normie crowd, or is it just best to just do it with major influencers in Web 3?
Well, just keep getting the IP deals out there and rolling out this IP, because then when the cascade happens, Bitcoin hits a certain price, the general population wakes up to, oh my gosh, crypto, I don't have any exposure. They start throwing money at it, and then they wake up to this whole idea of digital collectibles, and they're like, holy cow, how have I missed out on this? VeVe has all this great intellectual property, and they start throwing money at things because of fear of missing out. So people instinctually chase green candles. So that's what will get everyone's attention. So VeVe could go out and spend hundreds of millions of dollars right now, or they, in advertising to try to grow awareness and really push their stuff. Or they could just wait till the bull market happens and then run little ads to augment what's already going to happen.
Yeah, that could work. I would want what would make you go, I guess there's a couple of things that we have done and shot things for we can't talk about yet. Do we have a timeline on any things where a crypto rain video will come out?
No, we don't have the timeline. Okay. I've been looking for a really good video editor for that. And I have one out of Brazil who's cool. I've used her before. And just looking at the option, I was hoping to get somebody in the VeVe community that super gets the VeVe community for a special project that Randy may or may not be involved in, that has a good VeVe background, but I haven't found the right situation for that.
We shall see. So you mentioned Devi for blockchain gaming. Big A says gaming is going to be exceedingly crowded. Arbitrum just got 250 million to put in the game. I think, was it the Readyverse just raised hundreds of millions to be like the next big metaverse? I feel like a lot of people that are raising money right now, they're not going to have things ready in 3 to 6 months. They're going to have things ready in maybe X amount of years. So I'm not really going and not that gaming won't be crowded. There will be. Like Devi doesn't just have, they have Litcraft obviously, and they have other stuff that's going on. Alluvium we really like. What are some other things that we could talk about that we really like? I mean, we've talked about Flow a little bit. You talk about Dfinity on your stuff so far, and we're not done loading up yet, but I think we have enough where it's safe to talk about that, and it's not
pumping the bags on ourselves. I frequently pump the bags on myself. Like the stuff that I'm buying, I tell people I'm buying it, and then it ends up going up before I even get to buy more. And I guess I don't feel too bad about that. The advantage of not having a majorly huge audience, it's not like I talk about it and then it goes up 3x before I even buy more. But I like telling people what I'm doing so they have the same opportunity that I do, because cheap prices like this are amazing. And so I like buying low, and there's so many people that will not listen to this message anyway, right? They won't get it. They'll panic out at these prices. They definitely won't buy. And then later when they see, oh my gosh, it did go the other way, most of them won't come around to update their thinking. They'll just be like, he got lucky. The few that kind of get it, and I wish it was everyone could get it. Maybe it's only 20% of people. Maybe it's only 30% that can really get it. That's who I'm trying to talk to. The 70%ers, they won't get it. Like I talk till I'm blue in the face. They won't be able to think outside the box. They're just too ingrained to do what everyone else does because that feels safe to them. In order to be good at investing, just realize most people don't do well in crypto investing. They do very poorly. So if you're doing what everyone else does, you're doing it wrong. You're not going to end up where you think you're going to end up.
Preach. Dfinity is actually my second favorite investment. I think OMI is my first, but Dfinity, again, it's probably my second favorite. But Earth 2 is giving it a really nice, a real run for its money. Because I think Dfinity can do that 100 to 1,000x from here. I know that would be getting it 1,000x gets it up to like a almost $10 billion market cap, which sounds like a lot. But I mean, what they're doing in banking and the disruption and other major announcements that haven't come out yet, I think that'll be made clear when that happens. But Earth 2, they're $38 million market cap right now. I only have like 5K worth. I don't have a ton. but they've had like the most successful ad campaign like ever on Facebook. They have like 150,000 monthly active users. They have 120 million tiles sold, like land sales. They paid out 22 million like to the players that have wanted to cash out. So that a lot of the people that have already made money with it. What up, Mr. MC1? How's it going, fam?
What's going on, Sanjay? Good to see you.
What I want VeVe to do is what Earth 2 is doing, and Earth 2 every like couple weeks, like every month, they put out a new video, and it's just a teaser of their metaverse. It's a teaser of like the beautiful engine that they have, and I wish that VeVe did this with VeVeverse. Like they don't have to make a 7-10 minute video. They could just release it in like 30-second clips, and just enough to get the community hyped. Like what is? Oh, they're really working on it. Because the amount of people that I see that go out and say like, I wish they would just announce that they're abandoning the token, and then just focus on VeVe, and it's like that's lunacy. Or they say like, oh, VeVeverse isn't coming. It's a slow rug. Like just enough to shut up the fudders. Just to not shut them up. Just enough to disabuse people of the fudders notions, and then also enough to get people hyped. Like, oh, what is this? And they could blur out the characters. They could blur out the buildings. They could blur out whatever. But just so people know that they have that on there. Earth 2's videos get hundreds of thousands, sometimes millions of views. And I feel like that's a really good way to get that, to get that pumped.
Maybe they might have some contractual reasons why they can't show that. There might be some reasons there. Secondly, it's like, would it shut up the fudders? No. Right now, the fudders are emotionally bought in the decision path that they're on, and so you almost can't shut them up until like OMI goes to like 10 cents. Half of them will still be around and not shutting up. Half will by then like shut up and disappear and be embarrassed to say anything. The other half will still be like, yeah, but it could be so much higher if they'd done this and this and this. So they're not acting in their logical brain at all right now anyway. It's all emotion for them. If they're in their logical brain, they didn't believe in VeVe or OMI, they would just move on and they wouldn't put any time into it. The fact that they still show up on anything says that's not a logical decision at all. That's an emotional one of trying to justify why they think they're right and why they think they're right on that and convince as many people as possible, which that's not a logical thing to do. That's an emotional, like a grudge, like a I hate you type thing. Cool.
I think if the fudders went away, that actually might be a little concerning to me. Because then it's like, okay, because now they care enough and they love us enough to still like be around. And maybe part of it is not even that. Maybe it has to do with just cloud, getting interaction. Oh, see how many impressions I got on this. I think that if they ever went away, I think that would be concerning for me, because then it's like, okay, now they don't even care enough to FUD. What would be concerning for you? Would it be that? Would it be losing X amount of licenses in X amount of time? Or is it just like that's just part of the game? And
losing a whole bunch of licenses would be a concern to me, that all of a sudden like some kind of dirty information comes out on the co-founders that then they start getting all their licenses yanked and stuff. That would start to be a real concern for me. Doesn't mean they couldn't still do pretty well. That would definitely mute what they could do in the coming bull run.
Great. Obviously, the physical and the digital are still kind of separate. And like Pokemon, they have their cycles. 2016, everyone was buying because of Pokemon Go. That went on in 2017, and then you had like this cooling off period. Then you had what was known as a buyer's market, where everything went down, and if you were a buyer, you were clipping up everything like myself. And that lasted through 2019, and then pandemic hit, and then suddenly Justin Bieber gets in, Logan Paul gets in, people get those $1,200 checks, and then it goes wild. So digital, really, they just follow the bull cycle. They're kind of separate than the physical stuff. We've been going on a bit here. We've got 611 people in attendance. What, as for some people that might not be in the privileged position that we are, to be able to talk to a bunch of these CEOs one-on-one, or be able to go in and been in this space for a while, or have the capital to deploy, what is your message to the people that are kind of struggling right now? They're on the struggle bus.
Well, So when I was new in crypto, what I realized was I was new in crypto, and I was hoping there was people out there that had systems figured out to do well in it. What I learned in life is most roads, somebody has figured out how to be really good at it and to find them and learn what the frick they're doing. And so I was looking for that and I didn't find it. I did a little bit, and there's a YouTuber named Crypto who used to make videos on the fundamentals of projects. He stopped making because he wasn't getting any YouTube channel growth out of that. So now he just covers Bitcoin price and leverage trading. He doesn't cover fundamentals on altcoins at all, even though that's how he made most of his fortune. So he absolutely made a ton investing in altcoins and early stages, and then doing fundamental research to analyze which ones to invest in, and became a billionaire in 2021 at like the age of like 29. He's like the exception. He's a YouTuber who was really a crypto investor who had a YouTube channel. Now, he still has a YouTube channel. He talks about Bitcoin price. He doesn't go into any of the things that made it so I love watching his videos back in 2017, 2018. Because I was just looking for somebody who'd already figured out good patterns, and he was the best of what I could find, the best. There was another guy named Ian Bellina that used to cover fundamentals on projects, but none of them really, they don't make YouTube videos like that anymore because it doesn't grow your channel to be covering projects when their prices are really low and everybody's panic selling out of them. You won't get hardly any traction on the video. The algorithm will punish you severely and not spread your stuff out. So there's no YouTube revenues in doing that. Your channel won't be big enough to get sponsors that pay you 30 or 40 grand a month. What was BitBoy making? Like $1 million a month from his sponsor, one of his sponsors. So there isn't hardly anybody making YouTube videos like that. And so that's what I was looking for. I found a little bit of that, and then they kind of went away. So a lot of it, I just kind of, unfortunately, had to learn through trial and error. And a lot of when I started my YouTube channel was to share what I was learning. And I thought, well, so YouTube going this path won't make me hardly any money directly. Indirectly, though, it allows me to talk to the projects and open the door so that I can reach them. Whereas oftentimes as a normal investor, I wouldn't be able to get that. And so if I could get enough of a YouTube audience that could open the door to talk to those projects, well, then I'd bring those projects on and interview them so that all my subscribers could benefit from that too. So we could have the very real talks. Like, I guess I created the YouTube channel that I wish I had when I was new, that discuss like important investment cycles, how to think about it, how to kind of take some gauges on potential risk versus reward. Okay, everybody's panicking out of this project. Is it really going to fail, or are they just panicking out because they're just like, think the sky is falling and everything's just fine? Those are the kind of discussions I wanted to have. And so I didn't find it, so I created that. I wish there was more of that. But if you're new, like, realize, like, I'm not young anymore. So like, yes, I did have more money than I did when I was a 20-year-old. But if you're a 20-year-old, you have money relevant to what 20-year-olds normally have. And so if you make $100,000 because you invested wisely about $4,000 or $5,000, well, you're in a really good situation for somebody who's now like 21 years old. If you're my age and you make $100,000, well, that's really cool. But, when you got kids and a wife, $100,000 doesn't go very far. And so I not only invested more than a couple thousand when I first started in crypto, but like for me, life-changing wealth is at a much higher number. But you're at wherever you're at. And what I tell people is, in crypto, like, probably we'll have this bull run. We'll probably have the pendulum swing too far to the upside. Then it'll swing too far to the downside. Then it'll swing too far to the upside again. So you might even have 2 more cycles of this. So if you can tune in and learn to think like a savage investor, realize savage investor, about 5% of the crypto people out there, then you can learn a skill that will make you savage type money, not only in crypto, but it'll apply to whatever then technology later comes out that revolutionizes things yet again. So it's like, cool, over the next 4 to 8 years, if you learn how to become a savage crypto investor, you make life-changing gains. and it'll probably apply to other things in the future. Cool. Now, can everyone do that? I think it's only 20% can do that. 80%, they just can't learn to think that way. They just need too much confirmation from the people around them that, oh, am I doing the right thing? Yeah, my mom says I'm doing the right thing, so I must be doing the right thing. Your mom is not going to understand crypto investment. If she's telling you it's the right thing, you're probably off track unless your mom is a savage, and maybe she is. Chances are against you, though.
That gets hard when people like they want to please their parents, and their parents grew up and lived in a world that is shrinking away and doesn't really exist anymore. I remember when I was growing up, people I live with are just like, why do you keep switching jobs? Stay with one company, stay there for, and it's like, well, you get more raises when you switch jobs, you get better raises, and you can go and you can learn more from other people. Yeah, there's only so much you can learn from one person in one place. And that's now obviously in the when you're running your own businesses and stuff, then that kind of takes a turn because it's people that you have to interact with and stuff like that. But and it's your own place. But I feel like a lot of people that want to please their parents are just not in tune with what's been going on in the tech sector, and they're and a lot of them let their emotions kind of get the better of them, and that's hard. That's really hard to overcome.
Yeah, your parents often give you terrible advice with very good intentions. Like I remember I'd gone to university and then I got a job at Accenture, right? Which is, this big consulting firm and internationally well-known and blah, blah, blah. And I'm working for them and I'm making mediocre money. Like I've got a wife and a couple of kids at that point, and I am barely breaking even. And then they start to give me pretty big raises and I'm making okay money. And I'm thinking, I want to do real estate because, gosh, I just love it. I love that real estate, you can go from, like as an investor, you can go from not being rich to over a 20 or 30 or 40-year period being significantly wealthy. And so I was doing a ton of research on investments and even made a couple. I went ahead and got my real estate license. And then later decided to go full-time. And my mom's like, why would you do that? You don't even need a college degree to do that. And that's crazy and blah, blah. My first full-time year in real estate, I made twice as much as I had at Accenture. And then my second year, I made like 6 times more than I had at Accenture. And so my mom's advice was very well-intentioned, and it was terrible to me. And thank goodness I didn't follow it. Did she mean well? Yes. Moms will often give you the very safe advice. So what does safe mean? Well, safe means sell OMI right now. Oh my gosh, what if it goes to 0? It's going down, and it's been going down for 3 years, and so it's probably never going to stop going down. It's going to go all the way to 0. Well, your mom doesn't understand about 4-year crypto cycle. Your mom doesn't understand that things run in narratives, and that it broke through some pretty strong support, and maybe it even goes down some more from here. But then the market will turn around and people wake up to crypto, and then OMI's got a very bright future as long as VeVe doesn't crash and burn in the coming year, and I have no idea why it would. Then OMI's going to do very well in this coming bull run.
I mean, even if you have, let's say, and I don't know if they're profitable right now or not. I'm sure they are, but if we go conservative and say like they're not, and I know David's very frugal. But let's say he wasn't. Let's say he was a little bit more overzealous with the capital that he had than he should have been, and maybe there's only, I don't know, 10 there's probably like 20-25 million in the war chest, but maybe there's only 10, and let's say they have a run rate of 500,000 per month, and let's say they only have 15-18 months left of run rate if there's no new money coming in. They could go in and raise tens of millions, if not like $100 million whenever they want. So even if that was the thing, and we're going super conservative on a lot of these, I feel like there's a lot of different ways that they could get creative and make money. Now, if they were to happen, David he might own, only 60% of the company or even less than that. But that's something that I think that's an answer to everyone's problems.
They're in a really strong position that they'd be able to go and raise additional capital.
Yeah.
Like one of the companies I invested in back in 2019, it seriously almost failed twice during the bear market that followed. And then they were running out of capital completely. And then this other company called Animoca Brands came in and bought a huge stake in their company for like 10 million. Made them very liquid. Not only did they invest millions in the business, but they also had good connections, and Axie Infinity became one of the big success stories. But they almost failed twice during the bear market. They almost went away into oblivion. And so like VeVe's in a much stronger place that they could go and they could get further capitalized by selling off some equity really quick. That'd be a real easy deal for them to make. Now, it's not quite as juicy as the kind of deal they could get in a bull run when everything's going crazy, but they could still raise tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions, if they wanted to that way. I'm pretty sure they don't want to. They'll only do that if they have to.
Yeah. God, I would love to see that though. I would love to see them just sell a piece to Apple, to not SpaceX, to Tesla, Microsoft, some just like, and then just bring in just a couple of just savage, just absolute monsters to go in and just, really accelerate some of the stuff that, use some capital they have. And they don't even need to do it with all of like top tier people from Amazon and Apple. They could just go in and they can get like 3 people from there, then use like Trustpilot as a 3x lever, or sorry, Copilot as a 3x lever to go in and hire people in like Indonesia, Thailand, whatever, but just have the people from these top tier groups run those teams. I think that would be really cool. I was talking with a buddy of mine before, saying like what I would do is I would go into all of the meme token communities and I'd be like, okay, guys, there's $1,000 here worth of your meme coin. Or maybe I'll start with 500, but maybe 1,000. I don't know. I'm just playing with numbers here. And I would say like, go in and download the VeVe app and buy one collectible. It could be $100. It could be $1.50. There's collectibles on there. There are comics that are super cheap. But if you go in and do that, we'll put you in a raffle. And this raffle will be split, first place, second place, third place. And you guys will get X amount of dollars in your meme token. And that's a very easy way to go on and to add new users without spending a ton of money. How many tens of thousands did they likely spend on Facebook ads and Instagram ads and TikTok ads, when in the reality those have worked in a very, very little and very sparing case? I think we're in this nascent space where you need to go and be creative like that. And you could, there's how many freaking meme coin communities out there? That is an endlessly renewable supply of new people that do that. And that just looks better for numbers as well. So yeah, that's my thoughts.
Yeah, I like substantive growth, and trying to add massive numbers of people right now to VeVe is just like when you're spending money on marketing, you can blow through a ton of money without much result. And so it's timing is everything on that. So NBA Top Shots found that out. Like they were trying to get traction in October of 2020 and they couldn't. They're, and they're giving away packs and they're trying to do this. And they didn't have a lot of capital. Like nobody knew Dapper Labs. And Flow like had done a token launch and stuff but most people didn't really know about them. And they just had a hard time. Later on, as the bull market happened, like you had NBA stars talking about their moments and their friends' moments and buying them. They didn't even have to pay for that advertising. I think they ran commercials for it for 2 weeks. And they had so much traction that it shut down their servers and they turned off their ads and never ran ads again. And I think since then, and so like NBA Top Shots got a ton of traction because it came about in the bear market and then it got that bull market worth of traction. Now, they did run some NFL All Day ads and they paid Patrick Mahomes some money. And what they found out is they were advertising in a bear market. I doubt that they got very much traction from that. And Patrick Mahomes is not a cheap sponsorship. And so they got some awareness, but it didn't cause a massive influx of users because it's a bear market. And like it's when a new world changing idea is new, it's hard. We're blessed because every 4 years there's this massive bull run that then wakes people up to the technology. They pay way closer attention. That's when your massive traction comes in.
Okay. Is there we've been going an hour and a half now. Is there anything that you want to go in and talk about before we end it?
Real quick, Spartan, you might choose better words. Look,
I
Spartan. Well, Chris MMC. So Chris from MM Crypto, right? So he made his billions from investing. Does he make money from his Bybit referral links? Yes, and it's probably to the tune of 10 to 50,000 a month. I think that's what he just lives off of, because he's actually quite frugal in his life for the most part. Yes, he does have a couple of supercars and a really nice house. He actually spends somewhat frugally. Economics is his strong point. Most of his wealth has come from investing. Yes, what he covers on his channel, and he shows his Bybit link all the time, and that probably provides him pretty good income of 10 to 50,000 a month. Cool. That's a model that he's doing. I wish he went back to sharing fundamentals. He doesn't, because there's no money in it. Cool. I guess, he's broken out of the rat race completely. He's got huge name recognition, a huge amount of money. He can do whatever he wants. Cool. Do I wish selfishly that he was like covering crypto like fundamentally? Yes, I would love more channels like that. Somebody mentioned, Big A mentioned a bunch of other channels. It's not that I don't watch those. Those are decent. Do they cover like at a fundamental level the different stuff? Not very much, right? So I like Ivan on Tech a lot. I like Crypto Zombie a lot. Tone Vase, I don't watch. He's a Bitcoin maxi. Bitcoin maxis don't really get what's happening with crypto. They're like, the technology stopped with Bitcoin and nothing else even matters. And they don't get that Bitcoin was just blockchain version 1.0. But there are much better ways to solve additional problems. It kind of unlocked the ability of the internet to do additional things. Bitcoin clearly has won the store of value, but that's not the only thing that cryptocurrency and blockchain unlocked. So Bitcoin maxis just aren't interesting for me to watch at all. Data Dash, I never watched his videos too much, but what I would love is channels that cover like deep fundamentals on different projects. Be like, here's this project nobody's heard of, and this is why I think it's going to be a massive success. And look at the founders' backgrounds and this, and their project price is way, way down because the token investing has absolutely punished it. Would love for there to be like some really solid channels like that. That'd be amazing. There aren't.
Well, we got to be the change we want to see in the world.
That's what I'm doing, but I only guarantee that through 2025. So like,
and then you disappear, and then
I didn't say that. I would only be covering that through 2025, but maybe I'll just be doing yacht videos and car videos at that point. And people are like, what happened to your fundamental stuff? And I was like, look, I told you, I told you when I started in 2020, you had 5 years of that. Then I have massive ADHD. Like that'll get really boring to me. It's a lot of work to make these YouTube videos. And often it's like, gosh, I get creative burnout. You know what that's like. You're just like burnt out. It's emotionally draining. And especially emotionally draining when you're telling people like how to view it. And then you get that's not what's going to happen. Meme coins are going to be what runs for forever. And you don't know what you're talking about. And OMI's dead. And it's like, oh my gosh, another one who thinks that he understands it and gets it because he's been in crypto for 2 years. And he's going to see that he's wrong, but he'll never come back on and say, oh my gosh, Rain, you were right and I was wrong. He'll just disappear.
Yeah. I mean, it'll be, I get really worried about some of these people that are, well, I guess in two aspects. One is like, how good can your life be if you're doing nothing but commenting negativity and like harassing people and threatening people? Like, you're probably not living a good life. Like you probably need some love there. You probably need some LSD. You probably need just friends. And then on the opposite end, you have a bunch of people that they're investing fair amounts, thousands, maybe some tens of thousands, but they're going to hit big. And when they hit, there's going to be a lot of doors that open to them. And there's going to be like, some of them are going to be great, but some of them are going to be not so great. And some of those not so great doors, you might end up like people might not be able to control themselves. Like having money has that learning curve. And obviously you'll have some people that think that money will solve all their problems. And I'm going to sit here and tell you that it doesn't. In 2017, I had started making big boy money. And I was like, that was a transition year from military to civilian life. So that was kind of hard. but I kind of more found that the happiness is more in the simpler things.
Yeah.
Is more in just like hanging with friends, hanging with loved ones, just chilling, bro. Now doing what you want. Like I'm happy playing video games, and I'm happy and I'm thankful and privileged to have the time to do that, and I'm happy privileged to have the time to work out. But I feel like a lot of people are going to come get this money. They're going to be richer than they've ever been, richest in their entire family. But because they haven't worked on themselves, they're going to be miserable. And they're like, oh, this didn't fix the hole that was in my.
What's interesting is a lot of these people aren't going to make good money. They're going to chase into narratives, and like they'll make, that doesn't mean they won't make some gains, but they're not going to understand when to take those gains out, and they're going to end up below what they're at even now. And so cool. Like that pattern is played out over and over and over again. Charlie Banana, whatever, Banano, really look forward to you joining us a year from now and apologizing for how you were wrong and you didn't understand and how you're ready to learn and listen. Cool. Looking forward to that.
We're not getting apologies. Like I've seen these people before.
I know. They think they're so original, right? Nobody's buying your nonsense. And it's like, there's a reason why I'm worth millions of dollars. And Charlie, because you don't get it, that's cool. 90% of people do crypto disastrously wrong. 5% do okay. And the top 5% do exceptionally well. I get that you're not in the top 5%. You're probably in the 90%. Cool. Love it. Contact me when you reach the 5%, when you're learning to think the right way. And it sure as hell isn't yet.
Oh, maybe one day. And I'll hope and I'll pray for you, and I'll do, because I feel like people.
I won't pray for you. You're not worth the time yet. Do I hope that many people would get this better? Yes. There 90% in crypto will do poorly. You'll see it play out that way. And most of the people that are in that 90% will just disappear. Instead of owning that crap, I didn't know what I was doing and I wasn't ready to listen, and now I am. Cool. That's the 20% I talked about that are savable, right? That they can get this if somebody explains it to them the right way. 80% they're just sheep. They need to look around and see what everyone else is doing and be like, this seems safe. Cool. 20% can think like sheepdogs, right? That they're just smart enough, or they're like, you know what, they can go against the grain and they can take those risks and they can think for themselves. It seems like 80% just can't.
Right. I love you so much. I always love having you on. I can't wait for like 48 hours from now to be on again with you, with Dr. Stuff and some other peeps.
I won't be able to make that. I'll be traveling. I'm taking another damn vacation. Jeez.
You and your goddamn vacations.
Yeah. Looking forward to it.
So let's talk off camera for a bit. You got a minute?
Yep. Absolutely.
Right, cool beans. Thank you, everyone. I love you later. I want to say bye-bye to Dashi. Bye-bye, Dashi. Bye.
We'll see everyone. Hey, thanks for tuning in.